And voila, we are live. All right. Hello, folks. Hi, I'm Strash. He, him. I'm one of the standard streamers here on Actual Play. As is usual, I ask everyone in the channel to let us know if our audio is wonky. I am, despite some mishaps in my work and stuff this week, I'm way looking forward to this game. So if Lauren, take it away. Do all the intros and everything else associated.
Yeah, I am Lauren. I use she, they. We were talking a few minutes prior about being fueled in undergrad power, and I feel like this is much what the stream is being powered on. So I'm looking forward to picking our undergrad power and channeling it through into long investigations and late nights and crime drama. Yeah, how about you, Judd?
I'm Jed. He, him, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where the case goes. I am not. I'm a. Unlike my undergraduate days, I'm a one cup of coffee in the morning, and then that is it. Otherwise, I turn into a cartoon character, and I don't need that. I thought I did in my 20s, but no, no more, no more, no more. So the last thing I remember from last game is that we spoke to the Dimmer sisters, and I believe you flipped them.
Yeah, yeah.
You got
Or at
them to
least my
flip
dice roll
side.
said that we did.
Yeah. So you basically got them to flip sides, which is a little zany.
Well, there's a conditional. The reason that they had not thrown in with actually, I need my notes. I'm sorry, I'm not prepared. The reason
Yeah.
they had not. The reason I asked them, I said, look, it seems like you're on the wrong side of this war. All of the people that I'm expecting you to be with are on the other side. And they said that, I don't remember their name, but the lady
I think
we
it was
talked
Rosalind.
to, who belonged to the Hive. She,
Oh, the Hive? Yeah, I can
yeah,
get her name. Hold
they were
on. Uh,
courting,
Dejera.
they were courting. I do not know where my notes are. That's really bad. They were courting Lord Skurlock, and
Yeah.
because of that, the sisters were kind of concerned and did not want to, like, if they weren't going to be appreciated and everything. They went with the other side. So the conditional that I'm talking about is what we discussed was if we could convince the Hive to not look into Lord Skurlock or make alliances with him, they would be willing to switch, which is a slightly different statement than they flipped. So
Right. Right,
just
right.
making sure that I'm not calling in tricks and favors that I do not actually deserve.
Cool, cool. That's good to know. I wasn't sure how good. Good, good. Cool. Yeah, so that's something that needs to get done. Awesome.
Okay, so what all happened last time, just so that I'm clear while I'm, because usually I would have my notes in front of me and then I would be all
Yeah.
prepared. Shall we do a quick recap?
Yeah, totally.
I think you also paid them to look into uh, Maya's violet-eyed possession, yes?
Yes. I put. Aha! The Roric notes. Alright. Yes, I do remember that. I gave them 2 coin, and we said that when we can organize it, they'll be there to handle any ghostly mishaps. Was there a fight in the ghost field? I remember, like, almost dying because of that. And we found some, like, young kid or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were talking to Suresh over in the old Mustang, over in the Mustang, not to be yeah, the Mustang, and yeah, that kid Andrel came out of the ghost field and tried to take a shot at Suresh, and now you've got them. You've got Andrel. He's a member of the Wraiths.
Oh, we were gonna use him as leverage against the Wraiths, if I recall.
That is correct.
And we found out that the Wraiths are scared of the Unseen, and this is basically a square up between the Unseen, who apparently have the Circle of Flame on their side as well,
Yeah,
versus the Hive and all of the people that they've been able to literally buy.
yeah.
Okay. Cool. Oh, this is really cool. I have like all of the stuff listed, and then at the bottom it just says Hive and Unseen. So, all right, cool. I have deciphered my notes. I feel prepared now. Rad. So
Yeah, ready to roll. Anything
I'm
else?
ready to roll.
Well, Lauren, do you remember anything else that?
Well, we had that big like ship scene, right, where we sort of parlayed on a boat. And oh yeah, there was that whole thing about pulling out a ghost monocle and looking at the ghost field through it, and seeing some Victorian-esque dressed women or people spying upon the ship, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
they were looking at the Hive's galleon.
Yes, yeah. That comes back to me.
Cool.
All right, rad. I got the guy I didn't like fired, didn't I?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
I don't know if you got him fired as much as fired him.
Fired him.
Yes. That's the same thing, really. All right, cool.
Poor Ishmael Comber.
Yeah, so that's who Ishmael Comber is. I have this is Ishmael Comber, administrative assistant. I was like, why? Who? All right, cool. Excellent.
And the guy who you replaced him with was a Silk Shore Bluecoat who was on the outs because he outed some corrupt cops in Silk Shore and they were going to kill him. So he got transferred to the Justice Tower. And so now he is your administrative assistant because you didn't want him to get killed on your contract.
Because if I file Ishmael Comber, he was an intern anyway, and he's just going to go back to college and be fine with his fancy parents' money. And if I fire a Silk Shore guy, he's going to die. So I made the...
His name is Lewitt. His name is Lewitt. And also did... And the reason why that happened is because... Dravaron is now Sergeant Dravaron.
That's right.
In charge of the City Watch liaisons.
All right, cool. Do you have a fancy scene planned out for us, Judd?
I don't know where in the cycle we are, so I don't.
I usually note it in Roll20, like at the last line I write down. It said, finish talking to Dimmer Sisters, start with downtime.
Yeah, so we should start with downtime, which is...
All right, cool. Can I have a conversation with Maya before we go into downtimes?
Yeah.
I have two things really to talk about with Maya. And the first one is I kind of want to get Maya's... Like, I think that there's just probably, like, some point where Drava is, like, super frustrated at this whole scenario, right? And he kind of looks at you and he says, all right, so, like, I need to figure something out. Usually we're chasing murderers, you know. Assassin, still a murderer, right? Like, ghost murderer, maybe a ghost, but also a murderer, right? Like, that's kind of our job, is, like, we stop crime, or at least my job is that I stop crimes. I actually don't 100% understand what the investigator job is yet, well, other than, you know, I get an Imperial mandate and then we do what it says. But I'm trying to figure out, like, what Maya's take on this whole, like, stopping a war deal is. Because, like, Drav tested the waters with her last time, right? Where he was like, all right, which side? Do we have a side? No? Okay, we're just going to do this? Okay. But I don't really understand, like, what her take on this is. Because this is clearly an unusual job, right? Like, we're not chasing a criminal who is committing a crime. We're trying to act... perhaps outside of what I consider the scope of the agencies / departments, right? So, like, I mean, Drop will probably open that up with saying, like, you know, I'm used to dealing with criminals, and this is kind of a criminal enterprise, right? So, like, knock some heads, make it too expensive for them to war on each other, and, like, eventually the hubbub dies down until the next time, right? So, I just want to know, kind of, like, where Maya stands, because Drop is like, but, like, this isn't really an inspector job, right? Like solve the political machinations of factions in the city is a little bit outside of our job descriptions. Like, where does Maya stand on this whole thing? Because the last time Maya was here, she was going after corrupt people. And right now, this doesn't seem to be the case, right? Like, we're going after a whole bunch of factions and dealing with a whole bunch of plots that aren't really rooting out corruption in the city. So I'm just trying to figure out what Maya's take on this whole job is. And I think Drav isn't being sneaky about it. He just like asks it straight up. Like he's like, yeah, okay. Uh, why are we even doing this? Like, obviously, like we got a mandate, right? And our choices are like quit or do the thing that the mandate says. But it seems like the job that we're being given is almost the Emperor overstepping jurisdiction, right? Like this is the sort of thing that should be handled inside of Duskfall. This seems like an internal problem. This is not an imperial scale threat. So what's Maya's take on this?
I feel like it's a thing Maya's been churning over too. You probably get like the anime like angry squiggle like scribble bubble when you bring it up because she's like, you've read my mind. Like, it's one thing to ferret out the rats in this hierarchy, but it's another to get oneself involved in the machinations of groups involved. If we were in the Deathlands, why you would just exile a party that could not engage properly with the people in this community. But alas, we do not have that option. And so here we are, trying to...
Well, that's not necessarily true. I think exile to the Deathlands is very similar to execution. I think that is a method of corporal punishment in the city. Like, there are work gangs that get sent out there, I think, as part of something. So, I mean, it is technically a possibility, but at this point, the breadth of, like, what we're dealing with, the breadth of the people that we need to send anywhere is pretty large. It's not like population of Duskfall large, but it's like, how many factions are involved? How do you decide who gets to go? I guess what Drav is asking is, like, I think he like looks at you and he says like, all right, so let's talk about a mandate. A mandate says that we are supposed to arrest people that are committing crimes, but there are certainly people that are attacking people. Like, I almost got caught in a firefight last time, right? But how do you decide who to go after? How do you decide who we try to put in prison and build cases against, and who is just like a thug in a gang that is being hired by like higher ups? Like, do we let them go? Do we try to go after everyone? Like, what's the plan and the purpose here? Because it seems like a lot of these people are getting caught up in the churn, and I'm not 100% sure who exactly we are trying to go after. My actions last time were motivated by the spirit of the mandate, which is like prevent a war, right? But I don't actually understand what like a successful accomplishment of the mandate is, other than maybe stopping the body count from rising. And I'm not sure how to do that within the legal system, right? Like, do you have ideas?
I think like Maya closes her eyes and you sort of see the violet sort of disappear for a second, and she holds it there for a while and then opens them again and says like, I don't know. Like, I did not grow up here. I don't know these people. At best, I can say we follow our gut and then pivot when necessary, but I don't know.
I think we're just gonna have to do that then. Part of the problem that I'm having is that, in terms of expediency, in terms of trying to wrap the case up or show progress, they would want us to throw in prison some of the like mid-range people, right? Like if the Billhooks are involved, they'd want us to build a case against like one of the leaders of the Billhooks. But honestly, the people that are actually playing the game, the people that are actually facing against each other, one half of them we can't tell their names because when they wear masks, nobody knows them, and the other half of them is so rich that they throw fancy dinner parties and we don't know like how to address stuff there. So I don't know.
It's tough when your objective is just to stop whatever is happening. There's no oblique goals and arrest this person or see this doesn't happen again. It's just what does stop entail.
All right. So your advice is that we keep pursuing this and then try and figure out what we can do best as we can do it?
Yeah, I think that's what her gut's saying. I think it's her gut reaction based off of working with Drav. Like, I feel like that's
Okay.
kind of how we've operated on previous cases, but before there was always a very clear goal or clear like steps to take to complete the mandate, whereas here it's a bit less focused.
All right. Cool. The other thing I want to talk to Maya about before we go into downtimes is Maya still looking to get rid of her ghost problem?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, because like Drav almost like cautiously checks, right? Like he's like, look, I know I asked you about this before, and I've taken some actions to sort of like get there, but there's a difference between asking somebody about help down the road and like getting close to being like in the moment, right? Like, so if we're gonna get rid of this, I think that I can make it happen, but I just want to make sure that you're still on board.
And I think Maya like doesn't quite bristle necessarily, but like it's a bit quiet and a bit like kind of embarrassed, and is like, I am interested in pursuing this course of action.
Okay. Then I will give you a time and a place, and we'll do what needs to be done.
Indeed.
All right, cool. Yeah, all right. Judd, ready for them downtimes.
Yeah, let's do it. I just made a bunch of rolls. You could hear the whoop, whoop, whoop in the background. And that was me rolling a bunch of dice so I could see which sides in the war did what, because I've got a bunch of clocks in the background on their secret missions, some of which you've kind of started to uncover. Like courting Lord Skurlock, you've uncovered that one. They're clearly, one side is really clearly watching the Hive's galleon, the Gold Queen. And so there's stuff going on in the background. And you will get told as it happens. And let's do some downtime. Luckily, I don't have to frame those scenes. You frame them. So what do you do some work for me? What are we doing?
Lauren, go first.
Yeah, well, I will definitely reduce some stress.
Sweet. Do I have stress? Sweet.
Do you?
I do. If you need somebody to go riding with, you let me know. If you don't, that's fine. I have other stuff I can do.
We can have that conversation whilst riding, sort of like
Awesome.
Getting out of the city and being like, hey, what do you think about this case? Like, well, fuck, I don't know. Like, there's so many people who are acting with different motivations, and how do you know like what to do in this case? Yeah.
Matter of fact, you're riding in the distance, and you watch it happen. Everybody in Deskfall will be like, where were you when the Strangford Tower went up in flames? And if you remember, there are the 6 founding families' towers, but like the Bowmores still own theirs, but they don't really use it. And the Rowan family still lived in theirs until they were evicted by a pair of plucky investigators. And
those darn kids.
Those darn kids. I would have done it too. Plucky is a terrible word for you too, which is why I use it. So the Strangford Tower has been a squat, a place for people to kind of do drugs and for ghosts to inhabit for years. And you're all having that discussion, and you're about to turn your horses away, and you can hear the gunfire echoing up and down the Strangford Tower, and then you watch it go up in flames like a torch.
Whoa.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What's the Duskfall protocol for that scenario? Like, aren't there there's got to be firefighters. There's enough crowded people in an area that fires would be terrible if there aren't any. But
they're in the book. They're called the Salamanders or the Sallies. Yeah.
Okay. Do we should Bluecoats appear on the scene? Like, do I feel the urge to like ride there and figure out if I can help, or is this the kind of thing that I'm just like, well, damn.
I'm not going to tell you what you feel, but I mean, the salamanders deal with stuff like that. This is definitely one of the biggest fires in the history of Duskfall. But I'm not going to tell you what to feel.
What do you feel?
What do you feel? What does Drav feel? Sergeant Drav, or on?
I mean, it's probably related to the war. I mean, I don't know. Investigator, you want to go investigate? You want to see what we can see? Because whatever it is probably going to be done by the time we get there. That doesn't mean that we can't pick out clues from the ruins.
Yes, I think it would be ignorant to assume it was not motivated by current operations, and so indeed we should ride swiftly to see.
Yeah, I think there's just like, you know, I don't know what Drav's favorite, you know, divine euphemism or whatever, like, nonsense he uses to curse is, you know, it's like, the equivalent of, like, you know, damn, or whatever. Yeah, I think he'll probably, like, see that and just, you know, spur his horse forward and try and get there and see what he can see, do what he can do, you know. There isn't a whole lot, like, it's... Cops probably have the routine down, you know, like keep gawkers away, make sure the salamanders can do their jazz.
Yep. I don't think they're listed as a. Oops! I just jostled my mic. Sorry, everyone. If I just jostled my mic in your ear. I don't think the salamanders are listed as even as an institution, but they're definitely right there. I'll just roll a d6, see how they're doing. How are you guys doing? Sally's? They're doing okay.
Yeah.
Could be worse.
Could be worse. It's not going to spread to other buildings. Is mainly...
It is a tower, right? Like,
right.
The thing is large and epic and well, mostly self-contained.
Right. As you get there, it's just as you imagine. Bluecoats are roping off whole streets and keeping people back, and all of the salamander units, all of the Sallies from all the districts are showing up, and they've got like canal boats with huge, you know, pneumatic hoses to, you know, channel canal water right into it, and those are arcing water over buildings, and they're also like wetting down the buildings all around the Strangford Tower. And people are talking about how the Strangfords are cursed and are corrupt and like not corrupt like as you know corruption, but like spiritually corrupt, and that's why their tower is on fire. It's the gods, the old gods, taking out their anger on them. So, yeah, that's kind of what you're hearing as you're like
don't
standing.
Let the spirit wardens hear you making that kind of talk.
Right.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
So, like, I rolled a 6 on my vice, and I have 5 stress. So I like to think that Drav races off, but looks back and Maya's gone.
Nice.
I can dig it. Cool. Judd, let me know if I see anything in this place. Let me roll my de-stressing while oh wait, that's up here somewhere. Yeah, there it is. Indulge vice. Doop. 1 die. Boop. Clear 5. Oop. There we go. All right, cool. Yeah.
I'm excited for ghost stuff.
I am probably too busy to notice.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, you lose Maya, and so yeah, I mean, there are Bluecoats on the street, and and they see you, are you like, do you like have your uniform with your sergeant stripes on?
Yeah. Well,
Cool.
no, actually. I think that if we were riding into Deathlands, I have to pull off some of my Severosi gear, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But someone's gonna know who the hell I am. Uh,
yeah.
I think if nothing else, like I have my badge somewhere, like inside all of the coats and wards and electro whatever equipment. Uh,
Awesome. Yeah, they uh, call you over. Um, Matter of fact, it's a Dunslow. It's a Dunslow person. Um, Hold on.
Not a Six Towers person. Interesting.
I think they're just pulling people from all
Yeah,
over,
yeah, I
right?
believe it.
I think they're just so overwhelmed that, um, yeah, it's Sergeant Kess who you've talked to about like kicking down doors in Whitestone and getting after the rich. And she's like, I heard you got your stripes.
Yes, but that doesn't mean that I don't.
Congratulations.
That doesn't mean I don't work for a living anymore. You just tell me where you need me and what I can do to help.
Yeah, I know how it is. Yeah, if you go over to the Six Towers precinct, they're handing out overtime like it's candy over there.
That sounds good. All right. Yeah. Cool.
Cool.
I actually let me ask her. Like I just say like I know it's a bad time, but how are things in Dunslow?
She shrugs. The same. Dunslow's Dunslow.
All right then. Her name is Kess.
Yeah.
I can we say something? Like I want to say a truth, and I think that Kess is
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
one of the people that is like. Remember how like I divvied up the districts and I represent Dunslow for the
Yeah.
liaisons? I think
Yeah.
Kess is probably the person that I contact most regularly to sort of like check the pulse and deal with the coordination and things like that.
Awesome.
So I think I probably am just gonna toss to her like a this is probably involved with the case, and then I'll cut a dashing figure on a rearing horse and go take it off towards the the scene of the crime, so to speak.
She like watches you go and like mumbles something under her breath like, I don't know what the sergeant's salary is over at the Justice Tower, but I can't afford a damn horse. Can't even afford a goat.
It's true. I think I rent mine, or actually, didn't I end up? It was stolen from some merchant, and I got it as part of a case.
Oh, you still want that one? That's
I
cool.
think
Yeah, yeah.
so. I think I'm just like like I'm stubborn about it too. Like you could have a better or worse horse. You could have your own horse. You can pick one out and raise it yourself. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
no. I was like, this horse was stolen. I somehow feel more comfortable on it. I probably gave it a name that was something like, like, shit. Oh, I call it something like the Raven. It's like, stay the hell away
Nice.
from my stolen horse. It's my horse. So.
It's very like old school Miami Vice, right? Like like this horse that you claimed from a case. I love it.
So yeah. All right, cool. Let me
Awesome.
know if I find anything out. If you want me to throw a die, I do finally have one die and observe.
Uh, yeah, I mean, if you want to, like, what is it you want to know? Like, you want to know like where the action is or where things are going, or
Nah, I just all of that stuff is like background fluff, right? Like we can see a montage, and I don't care about any of that.
okay,
All I'm trying to puzzle out is sort of like who came at who. Was this related to the war? Do I spot anything that's like a clue as to what actually happened here versus like
yeah,
whatever?
awesome.
If that's true, great. If not, it's also fine. Like I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah,
smoke in people. Like
make
drop is
that
not
observe.
great.
Use that observe die as a fortune roll.
Awesome. I'm just gonna roll fortune, one die. Does drive spot anything at the fire?
Nice.
It pays off to have a die, apparently.
Indeed.
Oh, good.
Love it. Uh, yeah. A young man in an army surplus jacket. You're given this street to cordon off, and you're walking people through and doing your job. And from the other side, so someone from the Strangford Tower side comes coughing up and collapses at your street barricade, and you know he's a member of the Lost, which is a tier 1 gang of ex-veterans who are mostly homeless folks.
Yeah, there was I think that man that was in my apartment building referenced them.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
I'm
Yeah. He came to you because he wanted his son Echo, or his nephew
Yep.
Echo, to get some help.
Can I get this young man some medical attention?
Yeah, totally. You call over some folks, and
We can just fast forward to like later. Like I can
Yep.
cordon off the street. I can handle all of that. Like if he's at a docks, great. If he's like on the couch in our office, that's also great. Like
Cool.
I'll get him treated, but if they're just like it might take him a while to wake up, he'll probably be fine. He just inhaled a bunch of smoke. Just like watch him overnight or something. Like I'll make sure that he's not, because I know that stuff is expensive and you can't. They don't have modern hospitals the way that we do today. You can't
Right.
just like stay in the ward.
Right.
So
Right.
feel free to jump to that whenever you feel like it.
Cool. I'm gonna cut to Maya real fast, then we'll
Perfect.
cut back to like you the next morning, in a hospital tent, because they've set up tents everywhere because a lot of people are hurting from smoke inhalation all over the place, and yeah. So Maya, you wake up again, in that apartment. It's the same apartment, and this time you fell asleep on the couch. And whereas the last time there were a bunch of people around, this time it's dark and you're there alone. And what's more is when you wake up, you can tell that there's like an iron stove in the corner. So you can, based on that, you can tell how long it's been since someone's been there. And no one's been in this building, no one's been in this room and kept it warm for weeks. And when you kind of look at the paperwork and the work everyone's been doing, it is, you can tell, number one, that your grandmother has been like continuing. So she's like doing some of this work, and that's what she came here to do when she took over your body. And you've got a ghost who takes you over and then goes to strange apartments and does paperwork. And there are a couple of things you can tell. One is that the team that was assigned to this hasn't been working on it since the war started. And the other thing is that this is basically a huge team working on the puzzle that you and Drav started when you tried to figure out how do you track down a spirit warden?
Oh, rad.
And it's basically your grandmother like working on the asterisk or the imperfection of your first case and trying to get it erased.
Totally. Is there any like a paperwork I can pocket from here to keep my person, or is it like?
It's literally an apartment. Like someone is renting a nice apartment and housing it with just this investigation. Like there are maps all over the walls and circles and murders with pins in the maps, and then someone else has marked off where the Death Seeker Crow rookeries are and how long it takes them to get there, and then how long it takes the spirit wardens to get there, Like it's the exact thing that you and Drav were doing if you had all the manpower in the world to do it.
Oh, interesting. And yeah, I can't help but feel chagrined that there's no cup of tea or cookies waiting for me when I wake up.
There's not.
Oh dear. Well, I feel like Maya immediately feels like a bit headachy, a bit nauseous.
Yeah.
And I feel like it takes her a while to sort of like get her brain back in order, sort of like patching up the walls that she's built up in her mind to keep her grandmother out.
Yeah.
Her eyes are probably a lot more violet than they've been in the past. And is there any sort of like lingering like whispers from her grandmother, or is like her grandmother's just like gone? Like she just wakes up and there's just kind of like progress has been made.
Yeah, I think you wake up and progress has been made. I don't think there's like, you don't get like a chat with her, or there's no her around. She like gets out, takes over your body, and makes a beeline.
I feel like that's the same like equivalent of your parents using your full name when they're angry with you. Because like before she said some stuff to me, and now she's not talking to me, which means that she is angry,
Right,
and disappointed, and that doesn't feel great either. I feel like Maya would sort of scope out what progress has been made so far in the apartment, and then would kind of slip out and feel conflicted about whether or not to tell Drav or not, and further confess that like her grandmother is making progress on her failure.
Cool. And I think it is. It's an apartment. It's an apartment in like a corner of Crow's Foot, up by the docks.
Okay.
And I might have said it was Charter Hall, but I feel like I use Charter Hall too much. Let's just go with Crow's Foot.
Sounds good. We'll totally be pulling up files.
White Crown are sort of the fancy neighborhoods, right?
Right. Yeah. Brightstone is like the fancy one. White Crown is like top tier. A few dozen people live there. Cool. Anything else you want to do with that?
No, I feel like at some point, when possible, I will investigate into who owns that apartment.
Okay.
You know what Drav would say? Follow the money.
Ah, yes. We'll totally follow the money.
Awesome. Drav, you meet that kid, the young man, in a tent, and it is Echo. It's Eklund, the kid who your neighbor talked to you about, the nephew.
You're a bit of a long way from your turf.
Yeah, well, there's been a lot of that lately.
What's that supposed to mean?
Means a lot of gangs getting pulled all over the place, but I don't think it matters anymore.
Why not?
Because there's nothing left of the Lost. It's me and maybe two other guys left. And I don't think they've got the stomach for it anymore.
I think Drav oddly vulnerably says, I've been there. I know what that's like.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. You go for the weakest gangs at the fringes, like a predator. Going for the old and the weak of the herd.
Yeah, except we're not animals. We're people.
Yeah, not last night we weren't.
What were you doing in Six Towers?
Folks in charge wanted to court Lord Skurlock, get him on our side. They invited him to the Strangford's place to have a sit down, talk about terms. And it turned ugly.
Between whom?
Felt like people came out of nowhere. That it just felt like the crows, the wraiths, a bunch of soldiers I couldn't identify. Shit, I think there was a feral ghost loose in there. I mean, it got crazy. And something went on fire. I don't even know what.
Your side was courting Skurlock?
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I got the wrong side. Yep, I got the wrong side. Their side was courting Lord Skurlock, and we went to mess it up.
Okay.
That's what it was.
You attacked and it went south. Well,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry.
That's fine. No, that's fine. It's like,
yeah.
I think I just
we
my head.
We thought it was just going to be their leadership, but it turns out they brought a huge number. The Great Cloaks were there. The Silver Nails were on the perimeter. It just turned into a damn mess.
Yeah, well, your first mistake was trying to attack a meeting where Lord Skurlock was going to be.
Yeah.
All right. Let me cross the lost off my list. I think I ask him. I say, so what's your plan right now?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Do you know if they finished their meat?
I don't think so.
Go home, kid. You're better off looking for a life that's different than the one that you were leading. Your cause was good, but this world doesn't like good people. Your uncle's looking for you.
Cool. You want to try to convince him to do that?
Sure. I'll roll some... What do you think it is? Exploit? Relate?
I have no idea.
Depends on your motive.
No, I'm genuine. I've got no dog in this race.
Cool.
I want him to be, like, safe, but... I'm trying to help. I'm not...
Yeah.
But, like, he's a grown-up. He has to make his own decisions. I've been through this, like, where you know...
Make it relate.
All right, cool.
I think it's fortune. I think this is just, again, another fortune roll.
5. So, either I do it, there's consequences, or I have partial effects, and I'm not done.
Yeah. He thinks about it and nods.
I mean, I remember, like, young Drav, right? Like, young Drav, after everything went to shit, like, was one part scared, one part raging in fury that you know, he'd get vengeance, and no amount of, like, calm older Drav being like, kid, you should find a different life, was going to change his mind. So, you know, right. I don't imagine that I'm going to be super helpful here. I'm telling him the lessons I've learned, but I don't expect him to sink in. Like, I really don't. So, you know, like, I can't live his life for him. I can't, like, stuff him in prison and then, like, be like, you can only get out if you agree to go on the straight and narrow. Because that's, like, not Drav's way. Because Drav's like, nope, cut corners and use criminal ties to solve your problems.
I know what this kid's going to do. We'll run into him later.
Wonderful. I'm good. While I'm here, can I get treated for my wounds?
Sure.
Thank you. I'm gonna
Sure.
I'm gonna try and exploit some of the docs here to give you some wound care.
Okay.
Excuse me for
I
a
think
second. Boop. Yeah! I lose my ghost burns. Carry
cool.
on. That was my
Sounds good.
second action. Lauren, back to you.
Awesome.
Okay, I can do the sensible thing, which is just some training, perhaps, or I can do the other thing, which is try and figure out who owns this flat during downtime. I think I know what I'm doing.
Sensible? Well, that's boring.
Yeah, I would love to like look at some public archives or that kind of thing, whatever records we have on hand to figure out who owns the flat that is doing all the work that we were supposed to do, which is frankly rude.
Awesome.
Not sure if I need to roll for that. Or if
Yeah,
I can just,
I think it's a 4-point clock.
Excellent.
I think it's a four-point clock.
We got a clock here.
Got it?
Or
Cool.
yeah. And yeah, I feel like what is this going to be? I feel like, yeah, the first port of call I feel like is to go to some public archive or something to sort of look at some deeds or, as my companion would do, follow the money.
Yeah.
Which is perhaps maybe it's like I don't know if perceives force, so that's not really it, but perhaps like observe maybe to look into something like that, perhaps.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Excellent. I will observe the crap out of the public records.
Cool. I think we're at controlled great.
Oh, cool. Controlled great. Oh, I got a 6, which is a number of segments.
3.
3 segments.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah. Yeah, you're figuring it out.
If only I had some money.
Right.
Oh dear.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like this is like that sort of vignette montage, right? Of like Maya staying up way too late in like the public records with like the green lamp on the desk as she's like going through like
Yes.
page on page of deeds and that kind of thing. Big dusty tomes.
Love it. Yeah, you're trying to find out what's going on with that apartment on Cinder Street.
Ooh, cool. Excellent.
We'll make it 13 Cinder Street just to make it triple creepy.
Fantastic. And I think that's me.
Cool. Any more downtime?
We have one from our innate ability, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
What is our crew heat?
I think it's 1, but I don't know if we like updated it between.
Oh, you know what? I think we started with downtime and we skipped the pre-downtime section where we get the heat.
I knew it was like too good to be true. I was
It
like,
was
1
too
heat.
good to be true. Judd, do we want to do that super quick?
Yes, we should do that.
All right, super quick. 1 duty. We earn 2 duty plus 1 if we've made headway in the investigation. I feel like we made headway in the investigation.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, sweet. Next up, heat. Twice the tier of the highest tier subject involved. Now, technically, the last job was against the Dimmer sisters, but I feel like there was no. I will make the argument that we did not gain any additional heat because. Right. We didn't shake anyone down, arrest anyone, or otherwise take any contrarian actions. We went there politely, we talked to them politely, and we left with an alliance. So I would argue that we didn't get heat.
I will agree with that.
All right, cool. And then paperwork or entanglements. I think we already talked about the kind of nonsensical paperwork that we had to put together for that meeting.
And the little detail that I'll say why I agree with you is because you went in the back door, like you went in through like the subterranean canals. You didn't like walk up to the front door. Otherwise, it might be someone might have seen you and it might have generated some weirdness. But no, I think you're good.
Okay, cool. And then I was halfway through that. All right, paperwork and entanglements. I assume that we do paperwork, yeah?
Yeah.
And we cover for the blue/investigators. Although I think we write some serious bullshit in there. Interrogated suspects, found out certain alliances, listed alliances, do not list the subjects. Alright, cool. And then, last but not least, Judd, we are at Heat 1, 0 pressure, so if you want to throw 2 dice, take the lowest for our entanglement. Or you can pick one.
Yes. Yes, I do. 2 dice, take the lowest. Here we go.
4.
4.
That's Rivals or In the Sheets. Rivals is a neutral faction throws their weight around. They threaten you, a friend, or a contact. Or one of your vice purveyors. Forfeit 1 coin per tier of the rival, or stand up to them and lose 1 status. So someone tries to push us around. That's Rivals. Or In the Sheets,
Okay.
I believe, is a journalist from the Ink Rakes has written a speculative piece about the unit or mandate subjects, and intends to follow up with supposition, accusation, and very inconvenient questions. Last time someone did that, they got murderized by the Emperor.
They really did. I'm going to say it's In the Sheets. I think gang war lights tower like a torch. How many more dead before Bluecoats do something?
Are we
That
named
type
by
of deal.
name?
Uh,
And who's writing the article?
Totally. You are named by name, and ink rakes aren't named. Aren't in there. Hold on.
You just come up with the name of our intrepid journalists, our equivalent
Yeah.
of Stacy Weathers, ace reporter.
Hold on. I've almost got a name. Almost. Milos Michter.
Oh, that sounds like someone I hate. Fantastic.
And maybe if the intrepid investigators, Sergeant Dravalan and Inspector Maya Tui, would spend less time harassing founding families and more time keeping the good people of Duskval safe, things like last night wouldn't have happened. The death toll has been over a dozen, and the Sallies are still pulling bodies out from the old Strangford Tower.
That's amazing. Maya is pissed.
Okay.
The Justice Tower was not offered no comment when asked about the ongoing investigation about the war.
Cool. So our heat is only 1, Maya. I think we're pretty safe because I don't know what the hell case we could possibly build in the next our next job portion, right? So my suggestion is that we use our last action, our group action, to find out whose pocket this asshole is in.
Oh, this is amazing. This also equipped about I have a conversation for a space with my fist kind of thing.
It's not gonna help. He's look. We dealt with this earlier, and we will deal with this again. The Ink Rakes have their own agendas, or the agendas of whoever their patrons are. The fact at hand is that if you try and push him around, it's probably just going to blow up in our faces. He's probably just going to write an even worse article. There's a chance that you might be able to intimidate him enough that he shuts up, but if he shuts up, whoever the hell it is that's paying him is just going to pay someone else to say the same thing. It is better off to find out why he's writing this than it is to believe me, I understand the impulse, but the Bluecoats have learned that roughing up Ink Rakes only leads to worse articles.
I think Maya grumbles and is like, well, everything in the city is an eel. He's a squid. He's a squid. He uses his ink to help him escape, and then he flees the scene. What a spineless aquatic creature.
You really like nothing in the sea, do you? Okay.
I hate eating it. I hate interacting with them.
Oh, you don't like seafood. Oh, you came to the wrong town.
Oh, yeah.
Well, flood day's coming up. You may want to avoid the streets for a bit.
That's right.
All right, cool. But no, we seriously should find out who he's working for.
Indeed, the octopus that he works for with the many tentacles and many pies. Yes, we should do this.
Okay, awesome. Did you want to did you want to roll? Do you want me to try and scare up something?
I am all good to scare up something that sounds like a angry, reckless Maya thing to do after having received an article that is most disfavorable to what we're doing.
Go for it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be another 4-part clock. It's not like a huge undertaking, but it takes a little doing.
Excellent. And what are we rolling? Is this like a...
It depends on what
you basically to do this, you wait, I should double check that before I lie to you. I know that long-term projects are based on skills. Acquire assets may not be.
Oh, you're just trying to acquire asset?
We have to roll the cruise. We have to roll the cruise. Well, I mean, if you tell us that it's a 4-part clock, that's actually easier for us. So,
okay.
Maybe we tackle that instead. All right, cool. So if you're doing a long-term project, just say how you're working it and what skill you're using, and then you roll the skill.
Ooh. Okay. Maybe this is like a. Oh. That's a good. So we're trying to figure out again following the money, like trying to figure out who's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which pocket is this guy in? Who's paying his paycheck? Is this kind of like a question-y kind of thing then? Like sort of just asking around to see like who asking other squids who.
Well, I mean, you could be questioning some bankers, or whoever does manage the equivalent of money for this person.
Yep. How do you want to do it? Yeah.
This feels questiony, yeah, because this is like sort of. I feel like you would engage people to figure out like who this guy's working for. I feel.
Cool.
Let's roll that up. Ooh. That's a 3.
Well, fortunately, in long-term projects, there is no failure. It just means that the avenue that you took is not yielding a lot of results. You just only get one segment.
That makes sense. Angry Maya is not someone anyone wants to talk to.
it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Long-term projects, the only thing that happens is it takes a little longer.
Yep. Yeah, you. Yeah, I mean, I think you question some journalists. They clam up, but you're narrowing it down, so to speak, just to keep the seafood metaphor going. But they just don't talk to you. But you're narrowing it down, is what we can say.
Excellent.
So Judd, for the last, I have one extra remaining because I get 3. What does it take to have the scene where we pull the ghost out of Maya? Like, does it take a downtime action? Do we just roleplay a free play scene and it happens? Because, I'm pulling in Hopper and the Dimmer sisters, and I have all the components, so it's not a long-term project. It might be an acquire asset to get a location to do this at. Like, I don't know what you... Whatever you say, we're gonna go with. There is no correct answer.
Yeah, I feel like there are a lot of different right answers, right? I like the idea of using a downtime action to do it.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think that's a cool idea.
What is a cool place that I can procure for us to have to do this?
Um,
I mean, it could just be somewhere in the canals. That's fine. Because, like, obviously we're not going to do it in a bedroom, because, among other things, ghosts can murderize people in buildings.
right.
So, like, we probably want to do it somewhere private where we have time to set up weird equipment, do stuff like that. That takes a little organization and finagling. I think that's fair to do for a downtime action.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
don't know. Where do you want to do it? Do you want to go out into the Lost District? Do you want to?
That's not the worst plan, actually. It ridiculously reduces the chance that anybody weird is going to stumble on us.
Right.
Red?
Or it just increases the odds that whoever does stumble on you is definitely weird.
I mean, yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. I think Drav just, like... Can I roll, like, some relate or something just to see if I can,
Yeah.
like, what the quality of the place and the security is? Is
Yeah.
that cool?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. So I'm just going to roll this. Boop, boop. Boop. 4. So it's, like, regular, right? So, like, it's drive equivalent. It's, like, what I could get. It's not super fancy. It's not super well equipped. I don't have, like, Spirit Warden tech. But,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's do this. Last District sounds fine.
Yeah.
I feel like
And I
Maya
think,
would almost be more comfortable outside the city doing this.
Right. Probably.
Then I,
Yes.
what? Nope, I'm gonna leave the Dimish sisters to that. I was gonna ask what do you want to do with the ghost, but I realized the ghost people probably know better. Worst case scenario, we can just throw her into the wilds and like run away. But
Like, bye, Grandma. Then we're gone.
whoop.
Yeah. I think the Dimmer sisters are definitely. Well, like the person you paid, right?
You ever been outside the walls, Hopper?
What? No.
30 minutes later.
Yeah, and I think like 30 minutes later, you guys are in an abandoned hospital in the
Oh, that's not
Lost,
creepy.
Oh my god.
Right.
All right.
because it's a nice contained place, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And people die, so like they've got the walls lined so that ghosts can't just walk through them
Nice.
and get away. And yeah, Rosalind meets you out there, and I think she's got like the mask on, and a couple of pairs of witches are holding hands on the corner outside, like surrounding the place. There's like 3 of them.
It reminds me of how the Spirit Wardens put up the poles for the electro fences.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally. But people, floating pairs of people. There's 6, but 3 different pairs, right? And Hopper.
Sorry, I've been playing Control. Floating people means so big to me these days.
I find it very creepy. If you've ever read China Mayville, he's got the handlingers, and they float exactly like I picture the Timber Sisters floating.
Ooh.
Yeah, super creepy. But yeah, Rosalind is there, and she brings Ireline, who is her Sparkcraft engineer, who's in like overalls. I think they're also in like full Deathlands gear. They've got masks that like have pipes that like go into a backpack, and the pairs of witches are just in badass lace dresses and stockings, but the Rosalind and Ireline are wearing full on Deathlands stuff, as is Hopper. And they all introduce themselves and talk about each other's work that they've read about and the papers they've read of each other. I think they're all engineers, and they know each other's names. And Rosalind walks up to Maya and says, "What can you tell me about this ghost?"
I give Maya rolls her eyes a little bit and it's like, well, what can't I tell you about my grandmother? She is quite the taskmaster, ruled the family with an iron fist, and continues to do so even into the afterlife. She's had steady grip on my mind ever since I was a small child, since her passing.
And she's not feral. She's reconciled. Am I right?
Depends on your definition of feral. But no, she is by all means very intentioned, and whilst indeed she is rather vicious in acting out her plan, no, I would not determine her feral.
So, if I'm right, when you were a little girl, the witches who were in your village or fort couldn't get her out, and so they walled her up inside you.
In very much so, yes. She's been contained, as one might contain a prisoner,
Right.
but inside my own head.
Well, are you ready for her to come out?
Maya sucks in her breath, and she's like, she tries to like really hard to be sort of like sarcastic and like whatever about this, but then I think she looks at Rosalind and is like, "What do you mean by come out?"
I believe we have the tools and the power here and to exorcise her from you entirely.
And
But, and this is a big one, I need to know that this is what you want. I don't want to get in there and start mucking about with her, only to find you holding on to her.
I think Maya gets like very quiet. Like the violet in her eyes sort of like dims a bit, and she's like really considers this. And I think she closes her eyes and steels herself a bit, and then like nods like, I am ready for this. I think secretly like she's curious to see if like her own subconscious will betray her and that she is holding on to her grandmother in some capacity.
Right.
But,
Right. Right.
This is what she tells Rosalind anyway. She's like, yes, I'm ready for this.
Good. And you have control of yourself, right? She hasn't gotten control of you at all.
And Maya again looks like, I think she actually blushes a little bit and just like bites her lip and says like in barely a whisper, like, there have been some occasions where she has assumed control.
What does she do?
She, as best as I can tell, assumed control of my mind and body for an evening to engage herself in my past failures, to make sure that I did them so that I would not be an embarrassment to the family.
All right. I think this is going to be a tough one. We're going to need your help. So we're going to have to strap you down so that she doesn't get control of your body and bail. And I'm going to need your help. I believe you have the ability to attune, don't you?
I do indeed.
And it's a rather new ability?
It is, yes.
Okay. Yes, we'll need your help.
I will do all I can.
Good.
Where shall I?
Yeah, and I think like they literally get like a bed frame, and get an old mattress, and strap you down onto a hospital bed.
I think Maya like cannot look at Drav while this is happening if Drav is present.
I think
Yeah.
he is, but Drav's not a mystical type person. I think he's there, and you notice that he figured out how to get his guns on the outside of his whole Deathlands getup so that in case shit goes down, he's armed. But you get the sense that he's mostly here just to make sure that there is like he can't affect the process, but he's here mostly for you. It's almost like he's here for the before and the after the magic nonsense, and also for like watching all the magic practitioners to make sure they don't do anything funky.
Thanks.
So yeah, he's here more for like moral support. So like he's not. Yeah, he's real quiet. He stays out of the way. He stays in the background, but he's like always in the room.
I think like Maya feels that sort of it like loss of dignity and like that having to let go of control and giving that to someone else as a practical stranger, and no one looks dignified getting down on a filthy mattress. So
I think maybe Drav actually just like gives you like a nod, like I have your back. I know that you can't take care of yourself right now, but if something happens, I'm here. Right? Like it's that whole like you can't help someone, the best you can do is bring them chicken soup kind of thing, right? Like chicken soup isn't going to heal an actual disease, it just comforts them, right? So like it's the same protocol.
Cool.
Aw.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I think they strap you down and put this vest over you that has like electrodes and electroplasmic gizmos, and that's just to force it up out of you. And yeah, I think like as they start to tune it up, the light in the room turns like violet, and is so. Here's my question: is violet your grandmother's color that was always in you, trying to get out, or is violet your color, holding her in?
Ooh, that's a really good question.
That's a really good question. Yeah.
I feel like
things Jed thinks about a lot.
yeah, I feel like in the past we're like, so we've seen like Maya inhale like the blue ectoplasm of Spirits before and exhale it purple or violet. So I feel like that's sort of her way of like containing the spirit within herself. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, and I think they like you see Hopper help, and I think they're doing it as like a group action, and you can offer a die if you'd like.
Oh, totally.
Push yourself.
And they're gonna.
No,
And I'm gonna roll 4 dice, 2 for the Demmer Sisters tier, and then 1 for Hopper, and then another 1 for you.
Sounds good.
Let's see what happens. Oh, nice.
Ooh.
Very nice. So yeah, she comes out, and you can see I think she comes out of like kind of like there's like an electroplasmic bubble that kind of comes out of your mouth as you kind of like almost vomit it out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and it gets pulled into a part of the room by this kind of magnet that they have, and then it's a pure Ghostbusters scene where like a spirit jar opens and like there's a vacuum seal noise of thump, and they close the spirit jar, and yeah, they undo the tethers, and Rosalind walks over and picks up the spirit jar and says, you are a one-person domicile again.
Ooh. And I feel like Maya opens her eyes and it's probably back to like them being brown or like sort of like her original eye color now.
Yeah.
And in the past, her violet eyes have been quite piercing and like cold, but I feel like they just look very vulnerable and soft and like confused as she looks at like the spirit jar.
Yeah.
And her mouth like takes several tries to ask like the 10 million questions that are on her mind about the situation. But I think she eventually settles on like what about, and then sort of gestures at the jar with her grandmother in it, barely able to articulate like, what are you going to do with my grandmother?
Well, we feel we have a lot we could learn from a Severosi witch of her stature. If you'd like for us to take custody of the spirit, we could offer you some training in attunement.
Oh, and you see like the confliction on like Maya's face as she's like, that's really tempting. On the other hand, like this is family, and should family be treated like a test subject? Well, she did that to me, so like, why should I give a shit? And it's the nice cycle of like family obligation and family commitment, but also like sort of her having been controlled and like manipulated by her grandmother her whole life. And I think she eventually like steals her jaw and like nods and says like, that is a deal I could consider. Yes.
Wonderful. You know the entrance the job shows you. I would use that one. And let us know.
I look forward to spending more time with you.
Of course.
And thanks.
This is a service you paid for, so don't worry about it.
And I think like Maya looks from her back to Grav and kind of like says thanks with her eyes, but again feels weird saying it because there's a lot of complicated feelings around like vomiting up your grandmother and putting her in a jar, but also being free.
So I think that when we came out here, we probably didn't come on our regular mounts because among other things we had to bring equipment and hopper. So I think that this is a lot like the one time where like we used like a carriage to get out and back in.
Cool.
And I think that Drav just like squares with people and like make sure that everything's done, like everyone's happy, everything's concluded, right? And then when shit's packed up, he's kind of quiet most of the way back. And right as you're like getting towards like the city walls where like, you know, we get let in through the electroplasmic fields or whatever, he says, the Dimmer Sisters are some of the most powerful, like, supernatural practitioners is like the phrase that's coming to my head, but Drav probably has something like slicker and more slangy. You know, like, they're some of the best teachers in town, but he gives you like a weird look, right? Like it's hard to parse, but what he says is they'll make good teachers, but on the other hand, you are making deals with the criminal elements of the town, and like he just says, "Welcome to Duskfall."
That's and in the opening credits roll. That's incredible.
Awesome. Do we want to take a short break and we can jump in with the job?
Yeah, sounds good.
Let's do it.
All right, folks. Please hang around for just a couple of minutes. We're gonna take a very short break, and let me get our screen all set up. Sorry, that felt like an appropriate cut. But consequently, I did not actually have my timer set up, so just give me 1 second here.
Oh, it totally was.
All right, cool. See you folks soon.